What's going on, Full Flex Audio people? This is Chief Thrill, and today I'm going to be breaking down Violent Distortion. A little bit of background, how this even happened. Sox Healer was like, hey, I did this thing, I did some metal. Do you want to hop on it? And I was like, yeah, sure. They showed like a drop, and they showed like a little metal part, and then I hopped on it, recorded some guitars. The rest went from there. That being said, let's get right into it. All right, so we're here in the project, and I'm just going to go from one end to the other and just explain as I go. Pretty much, Sox Healer did pretty much everything, and I jumped on because I'm a freeloader! I love freeloading, it's so awesome! Basically, they made this intro, and, you know, it's samples, so what more can you ask for? We love samples here. Well, actually, this is a freeze of a bass guitar. Presumably, it's an Ableton one, and, we got a little synth loop here, and then they actually got some vocals, I don't know what effects they put on these besides this glue compressor, and there's a Pro Q to EQ out some, like, harsh frequencies, and there's an OTT and a EQ, does something, I guess we'll find out, It's been a little bit. But yeah, and so here we have a metal part, and basically they recorded a metal part first, and then we're like, hey, can you like spice it up, do your thing on it? And I was like, okay, shoddy, here we go. And so first we have this bass guitar. You can see all the stuff on it here. And we do have a bias effects on it. It's a little shy right now. Oh, there we go. So we have a this is the whole preset. I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. And then we have the guitar, the new guitar, as denoted here by the NU, the new guitar. Which I recorded on. I have another Ibanez guitar back there, which I recorded it on. It's in drop C, if anybody wants to play it. And I did a little trick where, here's a trick I learned from Will Putney when talking about their band End. If they, for their guitars, what they like to do is they like to add a little bit of the guitar tone, but pitch down 12 semitones. Yeah, it's a semitone. I had to remember for a second. I'm using my brain. Are you happy? I'm using my brain. So basically, if you layer that underneath for the guitars, then it makes it sound a little bit beefier. Like, I'll center this right now, and then... So you can kind of hear that. You can kind of hear how it's working, and I did that for the other guitar too. I guess I had Distortion on it, but it's not loading right now. Whoopsie. I also use bias effects for the guitars. Yeah, bias effects is a little shy. You can copy the preset. I use a drive, but I don't have the drive up. I just use it for the tone, and then a switch axe lead. You can just copy that, and then a green 25S for the cab. You can just copy it. I don't care. Then we have this thing in the background, and we have looks like a Sullivan King loop. I didn't even know that was in there. But yeah, there you go. It's just like a dissonant chord. Oh yeah, this is the original stuff, I believe. So yeah, that's what the original part sounded like. And then we have the drums, and for the drums, I use Get Good Drums Modern and Massive. Sometimes I also use the Counter Kit by Kyle Brownlee of Counterparts. I use it for the ride exclusively, but in this one I didn't care. And we got the drums here. And some people might call me crazy, but I like to add I add disperser to the kick. It makes it sound cool. Hear me out on this one, okay? It sounds sick. It just adds a little bit more squish. And I also like to add an OTT. I learned this from Buster Oldholm, which if you haven't heard of him, you've definitely heard a band produced by Buster Oldholm. But yeah, he basically had this OTT trick where if you put the depth at 30%, upward compression at 100, but then downward at 31, it adds like a little bit of a boost. I also like to split it into kick, snare, cymbals, and toms in terms of like adding different effects to it. So there's just a snare. And then we have the cymbals here. Then we have toms. And toms, I like to use a transient shaper. It makes it punch a lot more. And then, yeah, on the drums, the big drum group, I add an EQ to EQ out harsh stuff, a compressor, just compress it, and then that same OTT that I discussed earlier, that's like a trick. Oh yeah, also you can put the out to like -2.5 dB. It gets a tiny bit loud, and then a multi-band compression like right on the end. So I'm definitely am not afraid to compress these drums. And if you're curious, these are the old drums that we had. They went with the old part. But now we got a new part. We got some more vocals underneath it too. These are by Socks Healer. These ones are not by me. Yeah, I would say pretty straightforward. Also, again, we got that OTT. We got that OTT on the vocals. It's like a little MSG in like literally everything. It's so good. Once I learned that trick, I use it in literally everything that I do for like metal. Subtle foreshadowing though, there are some vocals from me in this track. If you haven't heard it yet, go listen to it. If you haven't heard it yet, like actually, why are you watching this video? Go listen to it right now. So yeah, then we get into the very, very tiny buildup. So basically, Socks Healer did this entire drop pretty much. I just added a few layers, but yeah, basically it's just samples and layers and layers and layers and layers. We got a layer, and then a layer, and then a layer, and then a layer. This is the main like resonant layer, and then we have a layer, and then we have a layer, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you listen to the track and you like Joe B and you know their sample pack, you've definitely heard these in here. So, you know, we got more Joe B samples. Yeah. And then also what I did add to this drop is a little one-shot thing here. It's from my song Escape Sequence. I kind of just took that and then put it in here because it sounds cool, and I made a sub for it. So there's that. And then also I like to add this like Sultan percussion. It's just a zap to like accent stuff. And the second part of the drop is kind of where I took over, but I wanted to make it similar to the first drop that Socks made, so just added a little bit of a different layer and a tiny bit of a different flow. And actually, this is a it's the same sample here, but I put it under like a spectral resonator, and I don't know where it's at in the project. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. But trust me, source, trust me, bro. It was a spectral resonator, and pretty much then second part of the drop, good old pitch bend. You know, same layers as before. Pretty easy. These are just like layers. They're just layers. It's just layers. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we get into the metal part in the middle. Contrast to the beginning, I do the vocals for here. Wherever, did I scroll past them? There they are. Cam Vox. We got me singing. These past few years have felt like standing still. I used autotune on that just to make it like perfect. I like that robotic type sound. Then we got these vocals here, which they're like screaming. I gotta put up a fight to keep from caving in! A lot of people don't talk about vocals, so I'm gonna take a chance to talk about vocals. Basically, what I do is I'll actually unfreeze this. I gotta put up a fight to keep from caving in! Vocals are tough because you get a lot of like weird frequencies in there, especially like in the harsh, you know, I got this EQ in here to kind of tame those harsh frequencies. I also I use a reduce ambience preset, and then I use a gate, kind of redundant, and then I use a compressor, and then I use another compressor. This is also the Goodhertz Wolf compressor, which it actually mimics I believe it's a Sony tape compressor. I'll put some info on screen if I'm wrong. It mimics like a certain tape compressor, and it just hits different. It sounds pretty good. It hits different. I also use a compressor to kind of tame these like peaks there. It's very variable peaks. When I recorded these vocals, I was away from the mic, and then I came back, so it was weird, but... Also, another tip for EQing vocals is that you should EQ them in context, because you can EQ them like soloed and then they sound good, and then you play the song and then they sound bad. That's a mistake that I made, and I still make sometimes, and you have to remember to EQ in context, because the people are going to be hearing the entire song. Nobody's going to be hearing just the vocal soloed unless you're doing something like this, which, okay, you got me, okay? Every punk motherfucker got me wearing that! Then we also have some layers here, which, these layers, it's a left and a right of me doing like some low growl type stuff. And I also clipped them to make them sound more intimidating and aggressive. So now we got all three of these vocals. Every punk motherfucker got me wearing that! So, yeah. Also, don't be afraid to clip your vocals if they don't sound cool, because I hate to break it to you, all of your favorite metal bands add all these crazy vocal effects. None of them sound like a beast in the studio, except maybe like a few, I don't know. They all add these silly vocal effects. If you don't sound like the next trendy metal band, it's okay, because you can just add vocal effects. and then you're good. And then, yeah. You can see here also, like, this peaked really loud, too. And then, but it sounds cool. It sounds cool to clip it. So, you know, and especially with, like, these, too. Oh, yeah. A fun fact about the guitar part, I recorded these. I recorded that, and then I thought it would be cool to, where are the guitars? To do like little dissonant peaks stuff. I thought that sounded sick, and that's kind of like a knocked loose type thing to do. So I like knocked loose. So hey, why not? Why not? Okay, you got me copying people, but hey, remember, steal like an artist. Okay, all artists steal, or it's a great artist steal. Yeah. So there you go. And then on the rest of the vocals, I have, you guessed it, that OTT trick. It just sounds so good. And then we got more EQs and more EQs, and yeah. And then we got the next tiny build up, kind of the same as the first drop. Yeah, and then we got these are, yeah, it's just me. Never again! Way more clipped. And we got more layers. Never again! Most of the time, if you're like recording vocals, also don't be afraid to like just layer it up. But also layers should be like, in my opinion, a good vocal, if you record it one time and then put it in the center and then record it again, pan it to the left, and then record it again and pan it to the right, that's like better than like any chorus vocal doubler snake oil plugin you can buy on the market. It's like, that's just the best way, in my opinion. It just sounds better. You achieve stereo that doesn't sound really, really weird. So now we're going on to the second drop. And this I actually did. so we got this bass here. And there's this trick that Sox Healer showed me, which they I forgot what samples they did on the first drop, but if you change the warp mode to texture and then just press B for brush and then you just start drawing in the clip transposition, you can get some pretty interesting stuff. And I do have the original oh yeah, that's the operator sub preset. Shh, don't tell my friend I stole it. We got this this like FM preset, which I don't know why I froze it, but okay. It's a Serum, and it's like basic shapes and an all pass and you know, basic stuff. Very, very basic. We got a frequency shifter on there for some reason, and then we have a redux, which actually, fun sound design tip that I learned, redux can actually add some noise into your bass a little bit. I think it sounds cool. And this is with it off. So I got the multi-pass trick to make it sound a little bit cooler. We got an OTT, but we got the regular Ableton OTT here. We got a reverb, we got an erosion. We have the 10 EQ3 trick instead of just a disperser, even though I have disperser. But only a few of them are active. So listen, I can't tell you the decision. I can't justify any decision I made. Okay, but I did it, and this is how it turned out. So yeah, I'm gonna freeze this again, and yeah. So that's freezing. I'm gonna go into today's sponsor. I don't have a sponsor. That's the That's also the pitch bend trick that I talked about like mere seconds ago. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it produces different results depending on where in the timeline you play it. It can sound a little bit different, but I think that variance can kind of create some cool like sound design moments if you have a resample layer. We got some of the perks, like the percussions and stuff, and from the original like first drop. And then the second part of the second drop, it's the exact same as the second part of the first drop. I got a little lazy on my part, but I still think it sounds cool. And then there you go. That's pretty much the whole project. The song just kind of ends. We both thought that sounded cool just to have it end and just have people be like, whoa, like after a little bit. That is pretty much it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't listened to the track Violent Distortion yet, you should. And if you've listened to it already, you should listen to it again. Thank everyone for the support on the track. Been starting to do some more like dubstep metal type fusion tracks. So if people like it, maybe I'll do more. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the song on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, if all the 2 users that use Deezer are watching. Literally everything. It's on SoundCloud, it's on your grandma's radio, but you should stream it.